Salutations and welcome to the Manabar Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Rhodes, and I'm here with Matt Samarco.
Hey, what's going on?
And Dan Party.
I'm here.
How you guys doing today?
Doing fantastic. Playing games.
Got a lot of neat stuff to talk about today.
Yeah.
Well, we will be.
We will be. We're hoping.
Going to talk about the new Sega Genesis minigames that were announced, the Nintendo Direct, Microsoft and Sony teaming up for something maybe big, Call of Duty's struggles. We're going to talk a little bit about Battle Royale and our thoughts on it. But first, what are you guys playing?
Been playing a lot of Rage 2. What about you guys?
I haven't been playing Rage 2. How's Rage 2?
It's good. It's good, except that it's not really that good. So
those are two opposite things. So
don't go too far.
You might need to clarify.
Yeah, all right. I guess I can do that. So this is me coming off of Days Gone. It's an interesting game. It plays kind of like maybe like a Doom game. The control wise, the shooting and action is pretty fun, but it's a pretty small map. It's pretty repetitive. The story only takes like 7-10 hours tops, and it's kind of like the rote design of, oh, here's a bandit camp, kill everyone in the bandit camp. They do some cool things, like there's like convoys where there's like a moving car that's kind of like a little boss car with like other cars around it, and you have to use your car to shoot rockets and missiles and kill them, and you get like a bunch of rewards for that. But there's a lot of like issues with it. First off, it's just the storyline is kind of not very much there. There's some story missions, but they're kind of few and far between, and to kind of pad out the game, they actually have this point in the middle where they're like, okay, now you have to just do X amount of side stuff. So you have to do X amount of those, like clearing the bases and things like that, till you level up a certain amount of basically reputation with these 3 separate guys before they're like, okay, now you're ready for this mission to move the story along. And there's some interesting weapons, but I actually played the whole game just using the shotgun and the assault rifle, and there's maybe like 6 other weapons, which I didn't even get, because you get weapons and upgrades through these like arcs, and they're just kind of randomly placed throughout the map, and they're like...
they're level capped, right? From what I saw? Like,
they have levels on them, but from what I can tell, like even the level 10, the maximum one, are pretty doable at almost any point in the game.
Are we talking like story arcs or like literal?
Oh, sorry, like literal arcs. They're called arcs. They're like little...
they're like giant treasure chests.
Yeah, basically. So, I mean, they're not like very in-depth. They're not like a cool puzzle or anything, but you go into them, it's usually just a base where you have to kill a few guys, and then there's like, oh, here's what looks like a pod that crashed down from a spaceship, and then you get like different abilities and different weapons from that, which is kind of cool in concept, but they don't show any of these on the map, and there's like no way for you to really know where they are unless you just search every part of the map, which gets kind of tedious in its own right. And then, so that's how I ended up beating the game, with just using the first 2 items, because I never found like the 8 or 9, 10 like optional arcs. So there was a bunch of abilities I didn't use, like there was a bunch of guns I didn't use, like a rocket launcher, like there's like a pulse cannon. There's a few other ones that were kind of fun to use, and then there's like there's abilities that are locked off on these arcs too, like double jump, and there's like weird power moves where you
like shifting. I know you can shift left and right really quickly, and
and you can
things like that.
Like shift.
Double jump seems like kind of a standard thing.
It does, doesn't it?
It does.
So does this seem kind of like a lesser Borderlands, or? Because it looks almost like Borderlands.
It kind of has a little Borderlands vibe to it. It's like a lesser Borderlands / Doom. Like another thing that was kind of annoying is because you're all these things are kind of optional, the game doesn't really make you use any of them. So it's like, okay, you got double jump and that's cool, but there's no like Metroidvania, oh, you need a double jump to do this portion. That's kind of cool. I'll come back here later. It's all like, okay, we have to assume they didn't see one arc this entire game, so you have to be able to beat everything technically with like your shotgun or your assault rifle or whatever the base stuff is. So there's really like, you get all these moves, and they do help you battle. Like you get a cool one where you can like, jump in the middle of guys and like punch the ground, and it like does a cool explosion, but none of them really feel necessary, and they're all kind of tacked on, which is kind of a bummer. But the minute-to-minute gameplay is pretty fun, but I don't know. What do you think, Dan?
I mean, I'm
still in it.
I just finished Days Gone, so I just hopped over to that. Of course, I bought myself another game too, because I'm an idiot. So I'm playing Rage 2, and then I just picked up Sniper Elite V2 Remastered, just because I wanted to shoot Nazis in the head and watch, their bones explode.
Fair.
So that was just kind of a quick thing I wanted to pop in. But so still, I just finished Days Gone. I thought it was great, and the question I wanted to ask you, Mr. Matt, was
Days Gone question.
Yeah, Days Gone question.
Shift from Rage 2 to Days Gone.
Yeah.
Ready.
Which do you think was a better game overall, Red Dead Redemption 2 or Days Gone?
That was an insulting question. Days Gone is a much better game.
Thank you. Good answer. 2. Good answer. I completely agree. After the credits rolled, I was like, wow, it was feel more attached to the characters.
Yep.
And then in Red Dead Redemption 2, I felt like you were always doing something unique. The horde gameplay in that game, you did you had to do the last one because it was a mission at the windmill.
Yeah.
Or not the windmill, I'm sorry, the sawmill.
Yeah.
That was intense.
Yeah. Those are all kind of intense.
And yeah,
those hordes. You have to kill 200 or 300 zombies in one giant group at one time.
Yep, and I kept running almost out of stamina, so I had to keep hopping over logs and stuff just to survive.
When I was doing that, I kind of felt like Sandra Bullock in Gravity, when every time she gets to a point in this movie, she's just freaking out. There's another horrible thing that's happening. You're just running at a constant sprint, trying to get away from these zombies, and every time you throw something and get a few done, 6 of them will come out from another direction and screw you over. Yeah.
Yes.
So
kind of cool.
So coming from someone who I've more or less had zombie fatigue for 10 years now.
Zombies.
Well, they're zombies.
They're freakers.
They're zombies.
They're freakers.
They're zombies.
I know they're zombies. They eat you. They look like zombies.
Coming from someone who's had zombie fatigue for this long, I can safely say that just watching Matt play that game makes me think that I'd like it more than Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. It was just funny.
That's saying something.
Well, it really, the credits rolled and I immediately thought of the game. It feels very similar to a Red Dead. It's, the aiming controls are kind of clunky. It's kind of a realistic atmosphere. It's not like a Borderlands, cell shaded, or you don't have any special powers, just like Red Dead. And you're still hopping from camp to camp and blah blah blah. Not really post apocalyptic, hence obviously you're taking Red Dead Redemption 2 was pre organized United States kind of thing. But it is kind of a chaotic world type of thing. But in the end, I didn't. Red Dead Redemption tried to make you care about the people in the camp, and honestly, some of them died, and I was like, I don't care. But in Days Gone, when something big happened or somebody was potentially going to go down, it was holy crap! I hope they don't. So I don't want to spoil it for anyone that wants to play it, but it was very, very good.
Yeah, Days Gone, it definitely hits all the beats that you would want, a fun action game. But I think what kind of surprised me with how much I cared about the characters and how interesting the story was, it wasn't just oh, here's zombies, here's a reason to kill them and kill them. It's oh, here's these long, in-depth character arcs for these different characters. There's loss and betrayal and a bunch of other stuff I don't want to ruin, but yeah, it's definitely more than I expected from it.
Yeah, the only other thing I would have removed from the game was every time he bumps into marauders, he's like, oh, bunch of camps of racists and rapists, and I'm gonna kill them all. He says it every time you run into marauders. It's okay, I get it, Deacon. All right, just go in, come on, do your thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what have you been playing, Sir Andy?
Well, I decided to take a cue from Matt and get Gamefly, because I realized that there's a lot of games that I want to play but don't want to pay full sticker price for, but I will pay $20 a month to play a lot of them.
Mid-tier where you're I don't want to pay full price, but I want to play it.
Because there's a lot of games that I can't imagine I would ever want to play again. And here's my queue on Gamefly right now. It's Spider-Man, Team Sonic Racing, Rage 2, Trevor Saves the Universe. That's the Justin Roiland game, the guy who invented Rick and Morty. Crash Team Racing, Ghost Recon Breakout. Is that what it's called?
You can put games that haven't even come out yet?
Yeah. Luigi's Mansion 3, and Days Gone is on there too. I'm actually going to move Days Gone up on the queue. I forgot I had that
See
on
that,
there.
Matt? We made an impression.
It's been on there.
Oh, okay. Well, the move up is because of us.
But yeah, no, I don't understand why I didn't do this sooner. It seems like it's perfect
right up
for
your
me.
alley.
Yeah, it's perfect for me. I canceled Netflix to do it too, which I
Sorry,
didn't mind
Netflix.
doing. Yeah, you guys.
Netflix is 2012.
Yeah, Netflix doesn't have much to.
Yeah.
Basically, with Netflix, what I'm going to do is once a year, I'm going to re-up it for 1 month just to watch the 2 or 3 shows that I really care about on the channel, and that'll be that. I've actually played quite a few games this week. First off, I am nearing the end of Skyward Sword. I'm on the final boss of Skyward Sword, so I'm gonna get that game over within half an hour now. Then,
What year are you from? That's like 2016.
well, I'm about to go even more into the past for you, if that makes you feel better. My girlfriend and I have been playing Mario 64. So that's been fun.
Classic.
I never owned the game growing up, so I never played through the entire game. So that's been just really cool living through those like nostalgia goggles and kind of putting myself back into like 1996, back when it was 96 or 97, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't play it till I got it on the DS like years later too.
Yeah. It can be frustrating with the camera angles, but like putting yourself back in that year, it was like a modern marvel. Aside from that, I got my first gameplay game, which was Spider-Man, which I've been thoroughly enjoying so far.
It came to blast.
Flying through the webbing, slinging, web slinging through the
slinging web
through the city is very fluent. I'm really
intuitive.
enjoying it. Yeah, it's very intuitive. Complete opposite of Skyward Sword. Also, I'm really liking the characters so far and like where the plot's going. So yeah, I can't wait to play more of that. That's a game I've been wanting to play for a while as it is. Rage 2 and Rage 2, Team Sonic Racing, and Days Gone should be one of the next games I get from GameFly, so I don't know which one they're
Sonic just came out like a day or
Yeah,
two ago, and
yeah.
I'll actually be playing that this weekend.
It's
so
high
hopefully I have something
availability,
to say about
so
it next week.
I should be getting it soon, and then hopefully you don't play too
Those
much of
games-
it so I can
Those
race
games
with you.
Those games are underrated.
I've never played Team Sonic Racing.
They're fun. I would say they're. I mean, I think I might like them better than Mario Kart games, which might be a little much for some people. But
And
it's definitely
also,
net.
just to remind everybody who's listening, I'm going to be doing a separate show soon called the Hyrule Journal, where I go a little more in depth about my journey through all of the Zelda games. The first episode was originally supposed to be out this Monday. That kind of got derailed a bit, so hopefully it'll be out by next week.
There's
Nice
one
nice
more
plug.
game.
Yeah. Well, it's part of our podcast network, so it's technically plugging the podcast.
I like pugging the podcast. I can't
Pug
even
in the
say
packet?
Pugging the pocket.
Peek.
There's one more game I just wanted to give a quick shout out to. It's I started playing it yesterday. It's Dauntless I think it just came out on the PS4 and Xbox. It's been on the PC and like open beta for a while, and it's just like officially launched the other day.
That sounds really... Did we see that at PAX?
We saw it at PAX like 2 years ago, and I actually
Was that the MMO?
Yes, so I got like a beta for it, and I didn't like the beta. I played it for a couple of days, and I was like, this game
That
is
was like the Monster
kind of
Hunting
boring.
one, right?
Yeah, so it's basically Monster Hunter World, but like it's kind of like a cell shaded different kind of style to it. And I'm actually digging it so far. It seems like a more streamlined, kind of like easier to interpret Monster Hunter. Like I felt like when I played that game, I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, what should be the good thing to do. But in this one, they have like different missions that you can do. And then they have like different categories of monsters that you can fight. And each one of them kind of like the more you fight them, the more of that specific type of drop you get to make gear, like a specific set of gear that's kind of correlates. So there's like a fire monster, a bunch of fire monsters that you can fight. And they all give you this like fire ores that you can use to make this very specific gear. And then you can kind of build up that gear and fight stronger and stronger monsters.
Is this a flat rate game or a monthly?
So it's interesting. It's actually for one. I don't want to forget to say it's actually crossplay, so you can play on PC with the PS4 people and Xbox people all together. And it
That's
has like,
rare for the
so
PlayStation.
it'll have like a little PlayStation sign next to their name or an Xbox next to their name, which is kind of interesting. It's a free to play game. They have like the Battle Pass system. They have a store for like cosmetics. I think the Battle Pass is like $10 for every 50-day Battle Pass. But I think the first one you can actually get for $5 because they have like a special We Just Started kit. Hooray.
Oh, cool. I'm going to have to check that out. Are you still playing?
Yeah, it was on the servers were on fire, so I only got to play a couple hours yesterday, but it was a lot of fun. I'm going to keep playing it. Like it's $5, so I'm going to throw it down and just like give it a shot. It kind of hits that like obsessive compulsive have to, get every trophy part of my brain that's like, all right, I want to get to the end of this battle pass, which is dangerous because I'm already doing that with Apex, but we'll see what happens.
And that's why we call him the Trophy Hunter. Because he often keeps wondering why we call him that. Before we get into the news items for today, a couple of new things propped up after I had already made the show notes. One thing is we had a question from a listener. Zachary was asking about adaptive controllers. He has a disability, and for him, it's a hassle to play games with the normal controllers the way you or I would use them. And often he has to be choosy about the video games he plays because, there are certain ones that require a certain amount of button mashing or the 2 joysticks or whatever like that. So it really limits what he can do. So he was asking if there was any good like adaptive controller recommendations. So anybody who watched the Super Bowl this past year noticed that Microsoft was making a huge push for their adaptive controller. It's $100 starting price. It's gotten a lot of really good reviews. However, depending on your disability and depending on how many peripherals you need to buy to attach to it, it could end up getting a bit pricey. There are also 13 other adaptive controllers on a website called Craig Hospital, and I'm going to put the full link in the description of the podcast. There's 13 other adaptive controllers in that list for all types of different disabilities, like whether or not you have one hand or you're maybe missing a couple fingers, or just depending on what you have or how you need to play, there's a controller for every situation. So I think it's good because even if if someone listening to this podcast doesn't necessarily have a disability, we all know someone who might, who enjoy it. I don't think anybody should be forced not to enjoy video games just because I've often thought of that. Like, what if I suddenly lost an arm and I wasn't able to play video games again? Luckily, there are solutions out there for me.
Yeah, I remember they had that like interesting one for the first PlayStation. It was just like literally one stick and it had basically both the nubs on it, so you could actually play it with one hand. I never got it, but it was always kind of interesting to me.
Did that actually come out in the 90s?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
this is one of the early ones, I guess.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Other than that, did you guys happen to check out the PS5 loading speed thing?
I did.
I did not get to see that. I know they said something about they did it with Spider-Man.
Yeah, they took
and it went
Spider-Man.
16 seconds. Oh, okay. That's
Yeah, it was basically the thing that he talked about.
Yeah.
Mark Cerny talked about in the Wired interview. There was like a behind the
0.08
scenes
seconds compared to 16. I mean, that's impressive. And if that's
there
going to
was some,
happen,
like investor meeting, and they showed it there. Like,
it's surprising. It becomes more and more surprising to me that PlayStation is not going to be at E3, considering how many
they
little
like to
tidbits of the PS5 we're getting.
I don't know. I wonder what Xbox, if they're like worried about Microsoft dropping more stuff about the new system at E3, and they want to kind of burn some of their energy.
That could be it. Maybe they're really trying to copy the Nintendo Direct, and really just go on their own schedule.
These things haven't been.
No, they haven't been great.
Really like Nintendo Direct type things. Like this was just like a random cell phone footage from like some conference meeting, and then the other thing was just like an interview in a Wired magazine. Like it's just very bizarre situations that we've been hearing this information, you know?
Yeah, and I'm still kind of like the idea that it loads Spider-Man really fast doesn't impress me that much because like I don't think
it's
it really.
A PS4.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this.
Every system is going to be able to play the last system's games a lot faster. I want to know how fast it loads PS5 games.
Well, not only that, like they keep talking about like hair physics is going to be insane. It's like, well, I don't want to wait 16 seconds just for the newest one because he has even more detailed hair.
Yeah.
It's like, I get the point. I think it's awesome because obviously the PlayStation 4 graphics are already amazing. So being able to, go back and play some of the older games that struggled with loading times like Fallout and basically anything made by Bethesda. So it would just make those games just a little bit
Days
better.
Gone. That lagged a lot.
Well, also the loading time was bad. So I mean that's another thing too. If they can make the new PlayStation 5 like the backwards compatibility and maybe up the frame rate like the Xbox One X has done, that would be really impressive. I'm sorry, I don't mean to go sidetracks on. Just getting excited about the PlayStation 5.
I'm excited too.
The options.
I also saw a couple of other tidbits that they're really building this up to be the last system, like the last system. Like it'll still have. I don't know. I mean, cloud gaming's becoming. I mean, we'll get into cloud gaming later. There's a bit of a news article about that. But before that, Sega has announced 10 more games that are going to be on the Sega Genesis Mini. They are, here's the whole list of them. Mega Man, The Wily Wars, which is Mega Man's 1 through 3 remastered for like the 16-bit era, which I didn't even know was on the Sega.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what, like, I know a lot of video games. I was like, what the hell is Mega Man, The Wily Wars?
Mega Man 1 through 3 remastered for the Sega Genesis. Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition, Ghouls and Ghosts, Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle, Beyond Oasis, Golden Axe, Phantasy Star 4, The End of the Millennium, Sonic the Hedgehog Spinball, Vector Man, and Wonder Boy in Monster World. Like 3 or 4 of these I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of most of them. I mean, the only ones that are really pumped about would be Vector Man, which is one of my favorite Sega Genesis games, and then Sonic Spinball, which I have like a soft spot for, which, you know, that's another thing that some people just don't like that much.
Oh, I love Sonic Spinball so much. I loved it. That's so much fun. I have it for the GameCube. So this, I gotta be honest, like the so far with the 30 games they've announced for the Sega Mini, like I'm still not 100% on board, definitely getting it, but I'm considering the amount of games that are on it that I haven't played, I'm being pushed more and more to at least consider it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about Sega Genesis games that you would want on a system like this, I mean, it seems to have most of them. Like, what else would you really want? Like, maybe Sonic 3? I don't know, what else is there? I would really like a Kid Chameleon. That was one of my favorite games.
Well, there's 10 more games,
yeah,
so we're going to find out.
Hopefully it's one of those.
I will say that I am glad that they aren't pulling what PlayStation did. So PlayStation kept two of their biggest titles off of the Mini because they had recently remastered them, but I think they forgot about all of the people that they were trying to get to buy the Mini might have not also bought those remastered.
Yeah.
What were those
trilogies?
remastered ones?
Crash Bandicoot and Spyro.
Ah, okay.
Those were two of the biggest franchises, and they were just completely left off of the Mini. And I feel like it would have been really easy to add those in. Sega seems to be going against the grain on that because Mega Man 1 through 3 especially just got like their second or third re-release in a remastered edition. Spinball's been on like multiple platforms, so have a lot of the previous games they have mentioned. So it's kind of nice that if you are the type of person to just want the whole Genesis package in one system, you can get that with this.
And I think Golden Axe was like one of the launch games. It was packed in with the system, so that just kind of has like, even though it's not a good game, it has kind of a nostalgia, kind of important in history factor to it too. I
didn't know Golden Axe was in packaging. I know almost nothing about Sega. I grew up as a Nintendo kid.
Yeah, it was at my house. I didn't have a Nintendo until, well, I had a original Nintendo, and then I didn't have one until GameCube. Actually, I missed Super Nintendo and N64.
Whenever I went over my friend's house, we would always play the same game for hours. I think it was it Road Rash, the one where you're on motorcycles and hitting each other with chains?
Oh, they just remade that, and I heard it did terrible. But
on Sega, it was classic.
Is that one of the previous games mentioned on the Mini?
No.
Ooh, they should definitely put that on there. I would love to play that again. That's such a fun game.
It's $80, correct?
80. Yep. Comes with two controllers
for 40 games.
I know.
With two controllers.
I understand that. I'm still finding it hard for myself to buy it because the big ones that I want, Contra Hardcore, I saw on the list, Vector Man, Sonic, Sonic 2, Streets of Rage 2, I own. Yeah. Like the actual physical version.
I would definitely wait for it to go on sale.
So that's what I'm saying. You know, if it ends up being at a reduced price at some point, I may get it at some point. I mean, it also depends on what those last 10 games are. But I everything that I wanted from the Sega generation, I own the physical copy of it. So, and I mean, unfortunately, they are the really expensive ones. Trying to get like Streets of Rage 2 or Contra Hardcore is like 40 or 50. It's like the price of a regular new game right now.
Now, if you didn't have anything in your Sega
that
collection,
would be a definite.
Yeah.
Contra Hardcore is alone by itself on eBay $60.
Not even from a monetary value, but would this have everything you're looking for in a Genesis Mini if you didn't have all the Sega games already?
Yes, that would be a different story. For the people that don't own it or got rid of it.
Which is the majority of people.
Which is the majority, exactly. That's what they're aiming for. I'm just crazy, and I really wanted to play, what was it? My two favorite Sega games were Contra Hardcore and Streets of Rage 3. So I used to always go into like Blockbuster and rent that every time.
Matt, you have a significant Sega collection. How many of these games do you have currently?
I don't have any Sega Genesis games.
Oh, really?
So,
I thought you had a lot of them. Maybe I'm just thinking about your
and he
Sega
lives
Saturn.
in the same apartment.
Yeah, I have a Sega Saturn, but that's a different story.
In a Dreamcast, right?
I have a Dreamcast, yeah.
Okay. I just assumed you had a Genesis and Genesis.
No, I had one back
too.
in the day, but that was like when I was like, very young, so I probably had to.
So this is really huge for you because you don't own any of these games.
I do not own any of these except for I own like Sonic and Mario, like Sonic.
Things that have been re-released.
That they have,
yeah,
but
I want to look up this. I didn't look it up. I wasn't able to look it up before the podcast. I want to look up the Wily Wars because I never knew that Mega Man 1 through 3 got re-released. I wonder if it actually like enhanced the graphics like they did with like the Lost Levels for Mario, or if it's just a port. That's really interesting. I'm gonna have to check that out.
2 was my favorite, so. I might just,
six was my favorite because that was the one I grew up on.
Yes.
Moving on. Mario Maker 2 got its own Nintendo Direct. on May 15th. It was actually during the filming of this podcast. We thought about doing a live stream. We thought about just watching it afterwards and talking about it. And in the end, we're like, I don't have to do anything. But we are talking about it today. So the Direct showcased Super Mario Maker 2. There was many new ideas added to it, including a story mode and 100 pre-made courses. Comes out June 8th on the Nintendo Switch only. I gotta be honest, this Direct kind of surprised me.
How so?
It added a lot more to the game than I was not expecting a story mode. I was not expecting 100 pre-made levels. It added like a lot of little things that weren't in any of the other Mario games. Just like little, like this is coming from the Lego kid in me. Like Legos were huge for me growing up. So this game looks like it's right up my alley. It just added like a lot of really neat mechanics to the game that I'm really interested in playing. I am a little, I don't know if turned off is the right word, but it seems like in order to get the most out of the game, you need to have the Nintendo Switch Online service.
Yeah, I would imagine if they're blocking.
Yeah, because you want to play it's kind of like a Little Big Planet where people create their own level and then you download it and play it.
Did they confirm you can only download those if you?
Yes,
okay,
they did.
Yeah, that was the same
but also there's a package deal they're doing where you can get a year subscription to Nintendo Online in the game for $70.
That's not bad.
Also there was some other deals they were doing. They're doing this whole like Nintendo voucher thing.
That's weird.
So, but you would have to download the games. You couldn't get the physical copy where
on your
you could buy 2 vouchers.
30 gig hard drive. That's
exactly. You could get 2 vouchers for it's $100. Basically, you'd be saving $10 a game.
Yeah, if you
by buying the 2 vouchers. So if you're the type of person where you don't care if it's digital or not, that might be up your alley for Nintendo Switch. Considering how small the hard drive is, I'm a cartridge only guy for the Switch.
Yeah, me too.
I don't like digital games in general. Yeah.
But no, I'm still excited for the game.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Like I didn't play the first one much, but it seems like they added a lot with like the different scrolling speeds, and there's the new Super Mario, like this new Super Mario Brothers theme that you can add to it. Like they have like the difference, so you don't just have to make it like the goal doesn't have to just be beat the level. It can be like beat the level with 100 coins, so you can change all these variables. So looks pretty sweet.
I think the other problem, because I played the first one, I really enjoyed it, but it kind of lost its luster after you downloaded a few levels, and that's it. And I like the fact that it has a story,
that's huge.
The story mode, and then the pre-made levels. I think will give it a little bit more life, and then bouncing between the three, the story, the pre-made, and not only that, the pre-made can give you ideas, because unfortunately, when I played the first one, a lot of people had the same type of idea where they either made a level that kind of shot you forward and automatically it would just push you towards the end, and it was neat. It was a neat way to program the game, but I mean, it wasn't much fun to play. Or the other level that was extremely infuriating, which was just a bunch of doors. So you go in and
I feel like that's most of the game.
Oh,
most of the levels on it.
Yeah, it's just like how
making online were just like extremely difficult.
They just want to see like how what's the smallest percentage they can get of people like failing.
You hop into the level and you just see a million X's along the ground where everybody
exactly.
died.
So I think that's kind of
that was a worry of mine too, because that's I didn't own a Wii U, but I always worried that I had a Wii U and gotten Mario Maker, that I would have gotten pretty bored of it quickly, because I could make a few levels, but would I come up with any good ideas? And then I could download a few, but that's it. But yeah, they added like a lot of good content that I think is gonna really push me to buy it this time.
Oh yeah, I feel like this game will be one of the games I played the most on the Switch, just because of the replayability is so high. I mean, it's a Mario game, automatically it's gonna have replayability for me, but knowing that you can just all of a sudden get an idea like, oh, Andy made this, I have an idea, I'm going to add on to that and make my own thing.
Is this going to be like Fallout 4 where every time I made like a little village in one of my what do you call them, like sanctuaries or whatever?
Yeah.
In Fallout. Is that what they're called? Sanctuaries? Little cities that you can make?
I couldn't get more than
I don't
2 hours into
remember
that game.
Fallout 4 in general?
Yeah.
Well, every time I built something neat and showed Dan would be like, "Oh God, no! I have to go back and make mine and do something neat with mine." We would go back and forth.
I kept making an arena. Well, because you made this crazy thing that showed off like all this power armor with lights. You like walked in, and I was like, "All right, this is pretty impressive."
Yeah, and then I found out later on that they actually added something for that.
It's still impressive. It was still impressive. I made the arena, but then of course my save corrupted, so I lost all of it. So.
No, as a kid, I could spend 20 hours a day just playing with Legos. So anything that includes that, like, building mechanic, is really awesome for me. So I'm looking forward to it. Do you think you're going to get it, Matt?
I don't know. My original answer to this was no. Like I eventually got the first one after like it was out for a long time, and kind of like Dan was saying, I didn't really play it that much because I don't like games like Mario Maker, like The Sims, games that don't have like you have to get to the end, here's the end credits or something. So it's hard for me to grasp what to do, and I'm not patient enough to build the fun levels, so it's just like, okay, I'll play a few levels online and then I'm done with it. But with this one having so much more to it, and like it seems like a lot of people are going to have it instead of for the Wii U where it was like, me and none of my friends on this game, it could actually be fun to play with friends and like pass games around, so I'm probably leaning more towards getting it actually now.
Legitimately, every Switch owner to Wii owner is more than a 2-to-1 now, so...
Yeah.
It'd be fun. Actually, I think it'd be fun even if you rent it or do it through Netflix, I think it'd be fun if we each create a level.
Gamefly.
Yeah.
The video games of Netflix.
The video games of Netflix. Wrong plug. Whoops. But I think if we create a level, which I have a funny feeling that Mr. Andes is over here is going to be very cruel, after getting some ideas from the Lost Levels, and he's going to have some evil ideas.
Yeah, if you see some of those videos online, they're intense, just like how hard people make them.
Yeah, so...
See, I don't know if... I don't want to be, like, super cool with my levels. I just want to make them cool,
fun,
but not cruel.
I would want to play fun levels. I don't want to play those, like, this is the hardest thing that only 1% of people have beaten.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to have a level where there's just, like, the Goomba... not the Goombas, what are the turtles?
Koopas,
thank you. Just Koopas where you can't touch the ground, you have to bop off their head. And keep going. You can't. If you touch them twice, they die. Exactly. That's what you're gonna do.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. The sky's the limit.
Ooh. Let's see. Hey, and not only that, you'll be able to post it to here on the podcast. You could say, "Hey, download this level." If other people get it.
That's true, and our subscribers will listen to everything I say, so they'll have to download it.
I don't know if that's true.
Can I be a subscriber and a podcaster?
On the podcast.
Yeah, that's
I can do. That's legal.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's legal.
I just want to make sure.
Messes with our numbers, but
okay. All right.
Feel free.
Okay.
It's bad enough I already get your download numbers.
Ouch.
Is the console war now a console truce?
No.
Well, Sony and Microsoft will, quote, partner on new innovations to enhance customer experiences in their direct-to-consumer entertainment platforms and AI solutions, which boils down to they're working together to come up with cloud gaming in order to kick Apple and Google's ass out of the gaming market completely. Also, according to insider David Gibson, Nintendo is gearing up to offer streaming services through Microsoft Azure. So, like, they're all talking. They're all commingling now. They found common enemies.
Yeah, basically. It's basically them trying to, like, stave off Google and Amazon, like you just said. And just, like, Sony doesn't have the expertise and infrastructure that Microsoft does. So it's like, all right, let's just do this together. I mean, it doesn't mean you're not going to get a PlayStation 5 Xbox hybrid system, but
well, no, that would defeat all the competition that was involved anyways. I don't want to see that, but
I wonder though. I mean, if they've already done Xbox Arcade or whatever on the Switch now, I wonder if maybe they'll say, hey, maybe we'll send some not really necessarily like games. They're going to hold on to the Halos. They're going to hold on to the Gears for dear life. But maybe some games over to the PlayStation.
Maybe we'll finally get our Diddy Kong Racing 2 from Rare.
Oh, that'd be
sweet. Right.
They were in the middle of making that before Microsoft purchased Rare.
We need more kart games. Right. We're getting 2 this year, but we still need more.
More what?
More kart games?
Kart games.
Oh, I heard card.
But you got your 2 favorite things. Sonic and racing.
Sonic and Crash, yeah.
Sonic and Crash. Boom. You're done.
True.
You're good.
You can never have enough.
What other racing games do you want?
Diddy Kong.
Halo Racing?
Why not?
That would actually be quite
That
fun.
would actually be
a bunch
really
of
cool.
warthogs?
Just like 12 identical looking.
Why did you not talk about this
Master
more?
Chief.
How fun would that be? You have pairs. You have got one person on like the rocket thing behind blowing up.
That'd be actually really fun.
It really would. I actually have
Microsoft. You need to get on that.
If you needed an exclusive, you got it.
We know you're listening to this podcast specifically. You need to get on that right now because that would be...
That does sound like a Warthog Wars.
Or you could even just do like a Microsoft team racing and just have like a bunch of like...
Just Halo. just
Halo.
No, I don't really have
some
a lot
Gears of War characters in there.
Yeah, but I think just be Halo. That would work.
I mean, if you put some Crackdown people in there, maybe people would actually play Crackdown 3 in some respect. Because their multiplayer numbers have been... They're basically non-existent now.
I own the game, and I've never played the multiplayer once.
Ooh. So, is the single player good?
The single player is actually quite fun. It's basically like a Saints Row. It's just not to be taken seriously. Your character is a superhero, like a superhuman cop, who just runs around and beats the hell out of enemies. And yeah, I mean, I think there was enough variety. I know a lot of people weren't super happy with the graphics and the destructive ability of like the
I think
the towers and stuff.
So long.
Well, that too, but I mean, yeah, it's not the greatest game, but I mean, if you got this at $40-$50, I still think it's worth it. I paid $60 for it, and I still think it's fun. Yeah, no, the only thing that I found a little weird with that game, sorry, on a side note, but it's auto aim. It locks on to like the enemy, which I find extremely frustrating.
Turn it off though, can't you?
No,
oh.
You actually surprisingly can't. So the way I play the game is I just don't hit the left trigger and lock on because I feel like there's way too much going on. It plays like the old school Grand Theft Auto where like you locked onto an enemy and you were locked onto him until you let go of the button. So, and for having tons and tons of enemies on screen at once. And the chances that you hit the L2 button, or sorry, the left trigger, and you lock on to the exact enemy you were thinking of, I was like, no, I'm just not going to do that. So I just aim without the button. Of course, I played on easier mode because that's
so. Do you guys think this is good? That the three major console creators are all teaming up to like go into this cloud gaming thing together, more or less? I think so. Personally, I really don't like the idea of just cloud gaming. I mean, unfortunately that's the world. No, eventually. I know. No, it is, but I mean, I don't mind people getting into the market, but I mean, I feel like Google and Amazon, especially Amazon seems to just capitalize on anything that they can and become a giant monopoly. I think we should stick with the people that know it best, and I feel like there's a reason why PlayStation, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo have been doing this for so long. And yeah. I think it's because they know what they're doing. I think that Apple and Google are going to find it's harder to do than they think it is as well. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that it's going to be really hard to pull people away from the brand that they've been with for so long. With Sony or Microsoft. I know immediately when Google jumped into the game, I was not interested remotely. I still am not remotely interested. Settlements. That's what the Fallout 4 places were called. Settlements. Thank you. Okay, right. Going back to that. Yeah, right. Settlements. I lost my train of thought. Thank you, Andy. Right, you're welcome. Right. Yeah. 4. Settlements.
What do you guys think of Fallout 4?
I love Fallout 4 still. It's the last good Fallout game that was made. 76 was awesome. 76. I'm kidding. No, 76 was a dumpster fire. No, I as long as competition is still there between the three companies, I'm fine with them working together on this and against places like Google and Apple because I don't really like Google or Apple. I don't want them to stick to, whatever it is you do. Yeah, stick to doing that. Stick to your marketing. Apple has I don't think Apple is really moving as hard into it as Google is. Like, Google's doing the whole Stadia thing, but I don't even think they really have any developers on board with it or anything like that. Not only that, I just don't think... I feel like Apple wants to stick with probably the mobile-style kind of quick games. The Stadia was the one that seems to be in direct competition, or wants to be in direct competition with the heavy hitters, the Xbox, the PlayStation 4 type of thing. Hence they advertised, like, look, you can play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which, that's direct, or that's on the Xbox, that's on the PlayStation. So
I feel like we'll just kind of have to wait and see. Like, it's almost too early to tell, like, what this is all going to end up.
We don't even know if
Like,
anything's going to come from
yeah,
it.
what's their
you know?
actual play going to be? Are they going to try to go into these markets, or what's going to? I can't even guess what they're going to be trying to do. So it's
Like
hard to say.
the Nintendo thing seems like Nintendo knows its strengths and weaknesses and are trying to improve their weaknesses by partnering with Microsoft. This Sony Microsoft partnership, I'm just really not sure what's going to come out of it, because they're talking a lot about like AI and all this. Like it all boils down to cloud gaming, but they throw a lot of unique words in there to get around it. So I'm wondering what's going to come out of it.
No, I think it's great. I mean, I feel like they all know their strengths and weaknesses now. And I mean, it only took them a little while. I mean, Nintendo still doesn't realize that that the internet is a thing, because they still refuse. Just like
you don't want to use a phone app to talk to people on voice chat?
Yeah.
Don't you have a phone, Dan?
I know. I do have a phone. I want to play everything on my phone, right?
Moving on, we have a new titan in the gaming world. Minecraft has now become the best-selling game of all time with 176 million units sold. Shipped. I believe it's shipped. That's how they calculate that stuff. Just to put that in perspective, from 1 to 10, here are the top 10 best-selling games of all time. Minecraft, Tetris, which I think encompasses multiple Tetris games.
It has to.
Like,
it has to.
I don't think they really ever split them up. The only one that seems to be split from the regular Tetris is the Game Boy one for whatever reason. Number three is GTA 5, followed by Wii Sports, PUBG, Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Green. That's all one. They just counted those all together. Wii Fit and Wii Fit Plus, Super Mario Bros. For the NES, Mario Kart Wii, and Wii Sports Resort. A lot of Wii games on there, especially towards the end of the list. Also, 8 of the 10 of these, at one point or another, were pack-in games with a system. That's a huge...
Yeah, how much does that really count?
Well, that definitely takes away from the numbers. I mean, right off the bat, you can wipe out Wii Sports and Wii Fit, which was kind of...
Well, Wii Fit was never packed in.
It wasn't?
No, Wii Fit got those numbers on its own.
Oh, God, why did that get the number? Oh, God. Well, that's because I feel like it hit every age.
And there's certain games on this, like Wii Sports, I think we can all
that
say
was packaged with it,
because it was packaged with the Wii.
Absolutely.
But all these other games, they weren't always packaged with the system.
The resort one was at one point.
Yeah, I remember not for like the entire 100 million.
No.
That was like towards the end, wasn't it?
Resort? There was a few resorts. There was like summer resort and winter.
Or like Mario Kart Wii. That was only like one specific Wii bundle that was out for like a couple years maybe.
That I can understand because
like Mario Kart on its own.
It was good,
more or less sells. PUBG, there was a PUBG PS4, but that was around for like a second. Yeah, I'm surprised. Well, PUBG probably for all of the PC players
people,
who were playing it prior. GTA 5, that's an astonishing feat. I know GTA 5 was... I actually, my version of GTA 5 for the PS4 did come with my PS4 system, but I know that it got there mostly on its own merit. So did Minecraft for...
Well, you also bought it prior to that one.
I did.
Yes,
I bought it
Xbox
twice.
360.
Minecraft making it to the top of the list in a relatively short amount of time compared to Tetris. Tetris is at 170 million units. So it's only surpassed it by a little bit. Like,
what was GTA at GTA 5?
I didn't... After Tetris, it really took a tank as far as numbers.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I feel like it's got to be around over 100 million.
Minecraft, I feel like, is another one of those games that I just don't understand. No matter how much I try to, it's like there's no goal.
I got into
Legos.
Minecraft really early on.
Play it? It's play like Legos forever. You can play Minecraft forever.
It's one of those games not for us, Matt. It doesn't have
an
beginning, middle, and end.
What do you do in it, though? What do you do? What's the goal?
So I played it back when it was cool. So I played Minecraft. I bought it in its...
Still cool.
Well, it is still cool for kids.
He bought it before it was cool.
I got it in its beta stage, and it's like it was Legos combined with like kind of survival mode and excavating, and the world would generate as you walked further in it. But mostly, I just like to build things. Like I built this huge castle and all this stuff in it, and there was even a free mode, where you could just build whatever you wanted to without the procedurally generated world. But then, as soon as it got released officially and Microsoft bought it, that's when it kind of started going off the rails. There were like all these like random story modes and characters and things you could build, and I just fell off of it. I liked the basic model where I could just like take blocks and build them and have fun doing that, but I can see the appeal. It definitely blew up more than I ever thought it would. Because I think it was 2009 or 2010 when I first saw it, but it didn't take off till a few years after that.
I remember you mentioning, like, I played some game called Minecraft. It's in beta, and I was thinking, oh god, what is this?
Did either of you ever end up playing it?
I played it very little.
I played maybe 2 hours max. It's just not my type of thing.
Oh, I can't imagine. I had a server with 2 of my friends where we were all in the same world together, and we were all just like building like a big city together. It was just really fun.
Now, I'm surprised you haven't played No Man's Sky, or at least
I have.
Well, okay, not played it, but I mean got thoroughly into it or really deep into it.
It hasn't grabbed me yet, but I know it has the ability to. Just the amount that I've played, it just hasn't really. I haven't felt the want to play it.
Oh, see,
a lot.
When they added like base building, and now they're adding like PSVR support for No Man's Sky, that is going to be fantastic.
Did you not play with Legos growing up, man?
Not really. No. I didn't really have Legos.
What kind of devil child are you?
Did you? Absolutely.
Oh, thank God.
Absolutely. I had castles.
I was the youngest of 4.
Ships.
I was watching MTV. I was doing adult stuff.
Oh, that's right. That's true. You were very cynical.
Real
child
world
growing
versus
up.
Road
Did you guys
Rules?
see the new AR Minecraft that they're having? That they're gonna have like a beta for, in, I don't know, sometime this year.
The cell phone game, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's supposed to like be the Pokemon Go like.
Yeah, exactly. Where you can like cut down trees in your yard and like build stuff, which sounds like very cool, but also like, is it just gonna be 10,000 penises that people are gonna be drawing, and then little kids are gonna be looking at those as they walk around? Because presumably it would be like you build something cool and other people see it, but that's going to turn
Also,
into
I think it's a
garbage.
little dangerous to be walking around the real world with VR, like a VR phone. Like, is that attached to your
it's
head?
not a VR
or-
phone. It's like
It's just like the
Pokemon Go.
augmented thing from Pokemon Go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually pictured someone taking like their phone, putting it on their eyes with the goggles, and walking around. I'm
Look,
like,
I
that
built a
sounds
log
little
cabin
more
in the middle of the
dangerous.
highway. Yeah, that's not going to go well.
Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna go. Because people are gonna build penises.
Yep,
That's gonna happen.
That's all I can imagine. That's all it's going to be, but we'll see, I guess.
See, there's a reason why I don't want to play games online with other people. So, it's because all they do is this. Is they build penises out of wood. That sounds like an awful game.
Speaking of online games, Call of Duty has had a developer shakeup. It's actually quite a bit of information about this that I was able to find. So Activision has announced that Treyarch will be taking over the 2020 Call of Duty game, breaking their cycle that they've had since 2012. Originally, Sledgehammer and Raven, with Raven being the lead developer, were making a Cold War-esque Call of Duty game, but instead that's going to be the next Black Ops game that has yet to actually be named. I'm assuming it's going to be called Black Ops 5.
They didn't even make a Black Ops 4, really. It was just a multiplayer. Why did they slap in? I feel like they should have just did Black Ops Battle Royale. That way you can stick with
maybe Black Ops free and have it be free to play if it was just going to be a multiplayer.
Yeah,
Speaking of which, that seems to be one of the avenues that Activision is thinking about taking the franchise, is rather than make... Because, I mean, right now, they're just making another Call of Duty every year. It's mostly the same thing. So they one of the things they're thinking about is just making it free to play. Because right now you're forcing Treyarch to start a game that wasn't probably originally going to come out until 2021. Make it for 2020 instead. It's going to be rushed. Not to mention, one of the bigger reasons that Sledgehammer and Raven probably failed so much is because the 2 people in charge of Sledgehammer left back in 2018. And this is all from Jason Schreier from Kotaku. And then Mickey D from Sausage Roll, I was able to find out that the real reason that this all happened in the first place was because the Cold War-esque Call of Duty that Sledgehammer and Raven were making, I guess, was an unplayable mess. So, I mean, Activision basically, stepped in and said, this is a complete mess. We're just putting Treyarch here. Because between 2012 and now, it's been Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, Treyarch, Infinity Ward. Then 2020 was supposed to be Sledgehammer.
What's the Call of Duty game coming out this year? Do they have one?
Infinity Ward.
Is that official?
It's an unannounced, but at this point,
okay.
basically an open secret that it's the new Modern Warfare.
Huh. Interesting.
Yay, a Call of Duty with a story.
Yeah, it seems like a dumpster fire over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's... I mean, I'm also really looking forward to it. I liked some of Sledgehammer's other games that they made, and unfortunately Treyarch is one of the ones that I like the least. I did not really enjoy most of Treyarch's. I didn't really click with Black Ops like 2 to 4. And I also hope that they don't make it just another multiplayer only game again. Just another, let's throw zombies in there again, as they always do. It seems like they just always tack on zombies. So, I mean, if they continue with the actual Cold War one,
it doesn't seem like they are. It seems like they're
gonna scrap
completely. Well, if it's an unplayable mess.
Well, I know, but I mean, at least if you keep
take the assets and try to
take the asset and make a Cold War one, I think that would be kind of neat.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
I played most of these games. I played Call of Duty 1. Not 1, but I played the first Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. I attempted most of the campaigns. I never, ever liked any of the campaigns because they were always just very generic military shooter campaigns to me. In fact, I think one of the big reasons we're in this right now is because like military shooters as a genre is like
they're flooded. It's flooded.
It's over flooded. Like think there's The Division, Battlefield, Call of Duty, Ghost Recon. It's kind of like that now.
Division
military shooter-ish type game. Then there's all the other ones that don't really make it to that brand recognition, like
Spec Ops.
Them doing anything with Call of Duty means very little to me because I gave up on Call of Duty a long time ago. I bought World War II and was thoroughly disappointed with it.
Yeah, I bought the last Black Ops, and I haven't bought really many Call of Duties before that, and I don't know, it just kind of feels samey, like they're not really doing anything new.
They used
to be like kind of the big innovators, like they introduced all this new stuff with like leveling up and like building your character, but now it just feels like, okay, this is the same game, but it's like playing Madden again. It's like, okay, you made a good football game, but now you're making me pay for the same game with like updated rosters. I feel like that's kind of what their play is. It's like, all right, there's not really much more to it.
Yeah. And it's just like, the last multiplayer I enjoyed was probably Black Ops 3. I enjoyed that for a period of time, but that was about it. Like, there hasn't been anything... There's nothing like Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare for a multiplayer coming out anymore. And that's because the genre's been so flooded. Like, what else can they do?
No, that's true. I mean, that's why I thought the Cold War might be something...
Yeah, but it's still just going to be like military guys versus military guys with guns. Nothing's really going to change except the setting.
No, but I mean, I'm on the other hand, I actually really enjoyed the Modern Warfare series. I couldn't stand the Treyarch one. I thought the Treyarch one was over the top and absolutely ridiculous, compared to the other one where they had the trilogy, Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. I could get behind Captain Price, like the character. I enjoyed it. I thought a lot of the missions were iconic. The sniper mission, from Modern Warfare or Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, where you snuck in and you sniped like the head of like the terrorist organization and then had to like book it while the entire military chased you. I thought that was impressive. The Modern Warfare 2 had the impressive the airport level that
was memorable.
That was a very I thought the enemy was also was really interesting as well, Makarov, and I thought it was neat that at the end of number 2 they kind of flipped and they had a plot twist where the American leader, I forget his title, but he's like a captain in the military or something, like turned around and he disobeyed. He betrayed you and killed you at the end, and it became a whole nother enemy, and then Makarov you had to take on in number 3. So I thought it was neat, and then the main characters were, I thought, interesting. Of course, they don't mainly say anything, but just, again, the first one was like, oh, you're some new guy. The second one, you became the new guy, and the new guy from the first one was like your leader. I thought was really neat. But they always kept like Captain Price in as like this legendary soldier, which I thought was awesome. But I was just kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm just hoping that Call of Duty will come back and make a really good campaign. Yes, granted, they haven't made a great one in a while. I think the last one I really, really enjoyed was Ghosts, Call of Duty Ghosts.
And Modern Warfare 3 was what, 2011? 2012, somewhere around there?
Somewhere around there,
Oh,
yeah.
actually,
well, Call of Duty Ghosts, like I said, was the last one that I enjoyed.
Modern Warfare 3 was 2011, because 2012 was Black Ops 2.
I feel like they need to do what Ubisoft did and just give, like with Assassin's Creed, and just take a year
A
off.
little bit of
and, like,
time.
kind of give them a chance to kind of, internally reboot the game a little, and,
Well, because, yeah, it's not only that we've been getting too many military shooters, but we've been getting different, like, 3 or 4 military shooters a year, like, and there's really only so much you can do with the brand. And yeah, I mean, maybe this free-to-play model is kind of their way of saying we're just going to have one free-to-play Call of Duty game, and then it'll probably be a pay-to-win scenario, unfortunately.
Seems like it always is when it comes to
Activision
Call of Duty.
licensed money.
Yeah, even in their $60 game, they had like a battle pass you could buy and stuff. So it's like
that's ridiculous.
It's just weird.
Yeah. I mean, Call of Duty could leave this earth and I wouldn't be any the different, because there's always other multiplayer games. Like, I haven't been able to play Halo since 2012, and I don't feel really any different. Do I wish that I could play another really good Halo game? Absolutely. Is it going to affect me? No, because I enjoy my single player games. I know there's always a new flavor of the multiplayer game coming out that I can try. And Call of Duty, like, the reason I never really cared about the campaigns in Call of Duty is because I was just going in to jump into the multiplayer, and they have not changed that multiplayer in so long that it doesn't matter to me if it's gone or not.
No, it's definitely, like Matt said, it's more of the Madden feel, where you play it for one year and then you're like, I got to go to the next year and hop to the next one. But I did, like I said, I enjoyed the campaign, and I'm just looking back. Call of Duty Ghosts was 2013, was the last campaign, so I might be grasping at straws, hoping for a decent campaign. But I think it's the fact, I wouldn't mind Call of Duty leaving. In general, it's the fact of there's 3 different companies essentially making a Call of Duty game. So when one of them is terrible, it's like, well, there's still 2 of them, and then now that Sledgehammer's been knocked out and it's going to be given to Treyarch again, I'm like, well, maybe Modern Warfare 4 will be good. So, I don't know, there's hope. It's kind of like the Star Wars game from EA. There's hope. It's not much, but there's hope.
You weren't even that huge of a fan of the WW2 one, though, were you?
No,
that was the last Sledgehammer one.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't great. I enjoyed the multiplayer, but yeah, the campaign for me was very forgettable, to the point where I don't even remember any of the characters' names. That's how memorable it was.
So you want to talk about a memorable campaign for me when it comes to like that style of game? Medal of Honor Allied Assault. That was a memorable campaign for me. It was a World War II game before Call of Duty came out. It basically paved the way for Call of Duty.
Now, was that more nostalgia, or was that because the actual story was good? Because you did the same thing in World War II. You stormed D-Day.
I have not been able to play it again in a long time, so I can't tell you, but I bet it's nostalgia. But no, the campaign was really good, but I know now it's going to be dated unless they remastered it.
Well, yeah, because I mean, at first it was interesting. Like, you stormed D-Day, which I thought was crazy.
See, in Medal of Honor Allied Assault, you didn't even start with D-Day. That was like towards the middle of the game.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Allied Assault, you actually went all the way around. You were in Russia, sniping at one point. You were in France. You went all over the World War II map doing stuff. I mean, and it was like the first FPS World War II shooter. Like, Call of Duty copied Medal of Honor's formula and then ran with it, and then Medal of Honor was never able to recover.
Question. Just hypothetical. If this formula of, like, the, Battle Royale doesn't work for Call of Duty, do you think they would try for a open world aspect?
Well,
or
I think,
like almost like a co-op?
Well, Battle Royale already failed for them. Medal of Honor, not Medal of Honor, Black Ops 4 didn't sell nearly the amount they wanted it to. So
maybe they will try. Maybe they will try and do a different formula. But I was just thinking, but would that be too much, kind of like Rage 2, where they're trying to take the combat from a really good game?
Well, it feels like you're just talking about Ghost Recon now. Like
exactly.
Wildlands,
So I mean, the other question is, can they make it interesting? I mean, I'm open to any game that could potentially change their whole style. I mean, I feel like I would love it, but a Resident Evil game where you played as, I don't know, a hero or someone in the city when, the zombie virus breaks out and you're kind of, or maybe even like a cop that's
always one of the STARS officers.
Just anybody, or it could be anybody. It could be a guy off the street that just knows how to use a gun and apparently is not afraid of zombies. And just an open world in, just an open world setting. So, I thought I already loved the game, and I know it got trash reviews, but Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. It was just an absolutely goofy game.
Wasn't that an online only thing?
No, that was like a multiplayer one. I know what you're talking about.
Umbrella
That came out.
Corps.
Yes.
Yeah, that was goofy. But Operation Raccoon City was just
Umbrella Corps sucked.
It was a really cool idea where you played as like basically the Umbrella cleanup crew, and you were going around like destroying evidence of the Umbrella being.
That actually sounds really cool.
It sounds awesome, and I thought it would be really cool if they made one of those guys turned like rogue. So instead of like working with Umbrella, he realized what he was doing. Like, oh God, we're helping Umbrella get away with this, and I need to do something about it. But he still had like the cool mask that like Hunk has from Resident Evil, so he kind of looks badass. But he's also a good guy, because when I was young, that was always a problem where all the cool guys were bad. Thanks, G.I. Joe. Anyway, sorry, that was
that's fine. That was all relative. But speaking of trends in multiplayer, we're gonna have a bit of a discussion about battle royale games, since that's all the rage these days.
Battle royale.
Fortnite started a revolution that everyone is trying to replicate, and with everyone doing battle royale now,
Fortnite stole it from PUBG, who stole it from
exactly.
H1Z1 or whatever.
Has the playing mode overstayed its welcome, or can it continue to get better?
I think it could continue to get better. I feel like they're not making a lot of changes to the formula, so a lot of people could come out with new stuff, which would be more interesting. I think Apex kind of did this a lot with their like kind of Overwatch style, different characters with different abilities, which kind of adds something different to it. But it is kind of the same, like you're going into these islands and the circle is getting smaller, which makes sense. You can't just have people in the big circle, but wouldn't it be interesting if instead of circles they had like stars or like some other way that the thing closed in on you? Maybe they had
just a different shape altogether.
Yeah, different shape. Squares, have multiple circles or something, and then have them like maybe combine.
That's what I was. I was saying, change the giant circle to maybe possibly random circles across the map. Because obviously the circle is to prevent people from sitting in one area for too long, and then nobody, it's stalemate.
Yeah,
exactly. So having, I'm trying to think of like that Mario Party game where they have that book that keeps slamming down and crushing people, but you have to run to different areas that's that the book page has open, so you don't get crushed by it.
Oh, the shapes in the book page.
So this would be so that I got to run to this spot. This is closer, or do I go to this one? If you see a firefight over here, you got to go over here. So, and it would at least keep people consolidated in one area, so there's a potential chance for a fight, rather than everyone just trying to typically when we play Battle Royale for PUBG, we were always trying to let's go around the edge, let's stay around the edge. This one, you have to be, we gotta rush in, we gotta stay here.
And then you kill everyone in your little circle, and then the other circle and your circle combine or something. You've got to see if there's any guys left in there and kill them.
Yeah, or even it just opens up the map again, and then so you can go back to old areas that have been used, and then new ones pop up. I just think that would be kind of neat.
Yeah, I will say Apex, at the very least, perfected it. They added a lot of things that the other ones didn't have, like pinging things.
Revive.
Huge. Revive.
Huge.
Like you mentioned, the different character elements.
Overwatch kind of thing.
But still, they didn't do anything new. One of the things I was thinking of was, rather than not even just different ways the circle can enclose on the map, but do something else instead of just a big map that turns into a small thing altogether. Maybe what about an enclosed area where it is you're either on squads or free for all, and there's continuous respawning, and the whole match has a certain time limit, and your team needs to get a certain amount of kills, kind of like a team deathmatch, but with that many people.
Question.
Yeah.
have you ever played Call of Duty 4 online? Both of you.
I don't think
back
so.
in the day, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Do you remember that level? It was literally like a fenced-in level with a bunch of crates. It was tiny. And immediately when you start the match, everyone just chucks a grenade and you end up blowing up, and half the time you were dead.
recall.
You just, that's the only
No.
fear.
I meant like a big area. And you're like it's kind of like a battle royale like size, but just like rather than have the circle enclose and you just go around and try to get as many kills as possible. But you keep respawning, so you don't have to like, because the issue I know you and I had with Apex was, you get in, you get all this great gear, and then you're instantly dead, and you have to like do everything all over again. It's such a pain. This way, everybody would go in, and rather than worrying about getting into a new game, you're in the same game, and you can respawn somewhere else, get some new gear, and go out and try to get as many kills, and there's like an overall time limit.
The only thing I fear with that is I think that would still that would create camping, I feel, because somebody would take an area and they would just sit there. Now, if you blocked off certain areas, like you die if you sit in this area for too long, maybe. Then
it would also be hard because like if you're like down by, if you see the guy in the first place is like 8 kills ahead of you, it's like, I'm not really gonna win at this point, but I'm still in the game until the match is over. So it might get frustrating because it's kind of like against the kind of spirit of Battle Royale and the fact that
you take all their gear, and that's like the exciting part.
I'm trying to
oh
come
my
up
God.
with something else instead of Battle Royale.
No. I completely agree. My thing, and I was thinking, is, and I got inspired by like Tetris 99, where you no longer could sneak your way into first place. You have to be good. You have to be the best or one of the best. So having basically you play against AI or something like that. So what happens if they were to throw in random AI characters in?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
In the map. I know Titanfall did that in one of their multiplayer games. I can't remember if it was 2 or 1, but there was random enemies that were on the map that they weren't biased towards one side.
Okay, I know the ones you're talking about.
But how cool, and I was thinking about it, like if Days Gone had a multiplayer and all you, like instead of just weapons, you had the attractors, so you could throw the attractor grenades and swarm zombies on enemy.
Cool. Yeah,
how
if you
cool
had
would
enemies
that be
you
to
could-
control, and you're not necessarily like shooting at anyone. I mean, if you want to throw in guns or not.
Kind
But
of like in mobile when they have like the little endless guys that stream into the middle of the map and you have to kind of use them to your advantage. Like
Exactly.
here's the
So-
storm or something.
So it's no longer just, it's no longer just you. It's, you're using other things on the map against other people.
Yeah, and you have to calculate like, I can kill these. There's like 5 guys sitting there. Maybe you could kill them and get like some good items out of them. But then you're kind of like risking someone else coming up and shooting you and taking them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
I think
Big
that would be
difference.
kind of neat. I also got this other one inspired by the ending of the Halo 3 game, which was that crazy warthog driving and how everything was like collapsing around you.
Of the campaign.
How cool would that be? Just driving around a place that's like collapsing from people like shooting like the rockets and stuff all around, and basically certain areas of the map are gonna like just cave, and
Like a
basically
racing
you
game
just
now?
well, it's just racing, or you could be on foot if you want, but you get in that vehicle and you're just basically trying to, because I absolutely love the ending of the Halo 3 game where you're just driving around.
I feel like through this exercise, it's just made me realize that I want a good Halo game again.
I know, see?
That's
Just
really all I
Warthog
want
Wars.
out of life.
That could
because
be, that
I
could go
don't
back to
mind,
Warthog Wars.
I never minded the 4. I know it, we've been using the model for decades now. I never minded the 4-on-4 in a map shooter.
No, it's
I don't
good.
I don't mind that. Not everything needs to be battle royale. And I in general like multiplayer games, and the idea of battle royale allured me because it was just so many people on the map, and it's just so exciting, and everything is new and everything like that. But quickly, it's kind of become stale.
Yeah.
It's kind of become old.
Well, that's why, maybe, they just recently announced that Predator game, which looks a lot like Evolve, where it's 4 against 1. That's neat and all, but I feel like if they made the Predator a little bit more overpowered, and then take Andy's idea where you respawn, so that person is the person who's like, let's say you play in the jungle, and one person's the Predator. Matt, you're the Predator. Why not?
Great.
So Matt is kind of overpowered, like he has, a laser ability that he can like wipe people out in one hit, but at least you can respawn. So, and then you can do, for the people that are playing as the Marines that are trying to survive, your leaderboard is damage against the Predator. So everyone's trying to do that, and obviously you have a unique goal of, hey, we all want to take down the Predator. And that one person that gets that final blow is going to get, a huge bonus of points. But I feel like that would be cool. Now, the only problem would be the chances that you get to play as the Predator would be slim to none if it's like 50 or 100 people.
A team of Predators, like 4 or 5 Predators taking them out.
Oh, God.
I mean, that would even be cool. Just having like 5 Predators versus like 25 Marines.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be pretty cool, too. I know there's Friday the 13th, which I know is a very, 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 very clunky game, but it's still kind of goofy when you end up being Jason, just walking around, trying to shank people because you're obviously overpowered. But it was fun, and
for what it was, that game was fun.
It was, and for something as iconic as the Predator, that would definitely excite me. You get a game where you can play the Predator and play as the Marines, and in like a multiplayer setting. That would sell me immediately.
Honestly, out of all of the Battle Royale games, Apex, I feel, is the best and is my favorite. And I would just love to see that game grow with just, different mode. I don't need all the other games to copy Battle Royale because if Halo comes out with another good Halo game, I'll go out and buy that good Halo game. They don't need to have a Battle Royale to get my attention. But because Apex has gotten the closest, or Respawn has gotten the closest to perfecting that system, I would like to see that game specifically grow and have more modes and more characters and more maps.
Yeah, that game's kind of getting stale too. I mean, there's supposed to be, season 2 is starting, I think the end of next month, so it's actually, we're getting there. And they're going to, at E3, they're supposed to have a bunch of new information, they're going to be changing the map, they'll be adding a new character, and I hope there's a bunch more stuff.
I would hope PUBG, one of the few things I can say I liked about PUBG was there was multiple maps. There was
it was a nice change. 3 maps. It was a nice change.
Yeah.
It changed it from, oh, hey, it's the big one to, oh, hey, it's the small one. We have to change our strategy to, instead of going directly for the center on this one, we're going to stay to the edge.
Because that sounds like what Fortnite's been doing. Fortnite just has one map, and they've been continuously kind of editing it a bit here and there. So is that what Apex is planning on doing too?
Yeah, I think they're gonna. I mean, it's all been kind of rumors and speculations, but that they've said they're definitely going to be changing the map. So I'm sure there'll be weird additions to it, changes and things like that. So we're gonna have to, I guess, wait until next month to see for sure. But what I wanted to ask you guys was, what do you think of the current state of the battle pass system? Because that seems to be the go-to for these kind of games, and the way they usually have it set up is, okay, there's a free tier where you get garbage, and then there's that tier you have to pay $10 for, and it's usually pretty interesting stuff. But I feel like none of them have really hit the sweet spot. My biggest complaint seems to be that the progression lock, I feel like these games are kind of aimed at 2 people. They're aimed at whales who will buy the $20 skins in the shop, but they also have these battle passes that are for most people that are all right, I'll throw down $10 for the next couple months to play the battle pass, but they also block it, so it's such slow progression that you're almost just grinding and kind of get sick of it. And the idea of getting to the end of the battle pass in Apex Legends, I know specifically, is you're gonna have to be paying us 20 hours a week for 3 months, and it's I want this to be my other game that I'm playing, a couple rounds a day at max, and I still want to be able to get all the stuff that I paid $10 for, but it's because they have these little things where you can give us $1 or $2 and we'll skip you up a level, so they're kind of incentivizing you to put more money into their game that you already bought the battle pass for. So I don't like the system as it is now, just because it feels like you're trying to get me into buying more levels or paying more money instead of enjoying this content that I bought, and should just kind of earn it a more reasonable
content
rate.
that you got for free.
Not if it's the paid battle pass. That's what I'm talking about specifically. If you're putting money into this, you're already paying the $10, but you still have to earn it by playing the game.
I feel like this goes back to, you don't want to alienate, and I feel like Call of Duty did this, is you don't want to alienate your players. You don't want to pay or make players pay for an additional map, and then only the people that paid for that have access, because that breaks up. You're isolating those people that paid for it, and you don't want to do that. So obviously you got to find a way to, hey, how can I do work but make sure I get paid for it?
Yeah.
And I completely agree that they deserve it, but I agree on Matt's situation that you don't want to make it grindy. That's why I stopped playing. I got the skins that I wanted, and I was kind of done. I didn't care. I was I'm just aiming for first place. They had some neat challenges. That's where the trophies came in, but as most of you have probably played it for about 3 months, after you play for 3 months, you're probably, as long as you keep switching characters, you're going to get all the trophies.
Apex for me, like I paid $10 for the battle pass, and like even before the battle pass, like the stuff you got in the game was kind of garbage.
Yeah.
And I gave them the $10 because I wanted to support them because I liked the product they made. But here's Apex weaknesses. The stuff you get, like the skins and the weapons are all garbage, even with the battle pass.
Yeah,
and
that's another subject. It's just like
the battle pass is only worth
season
it.
1 is not good.
Yeah, the battle pass is really only worth it for the people who play legitimately all the time. And like, I know you have, Matt, you've struggled, but somehow made it happen to where you're on track to complete the battle pass. I'm
trying
like
to stay on
20
track.
levels behind that, you know? And I just, I love playing the game casually. So I think this is a game that I will continue to play casually, but will not pay another $10 for the battle pass unless they can show me something better. But I will still, there's enough variation there with the characters where I still will play it.
Yeah, and they do set it
Occasionally.
up so that if you actually finish the battle pass, you'll have enough money to buy the next season, which is kind of cool, but also kind of incentivizes them again to not make it
grindy.
Yeah, to make it so most people don't do that. Because if they made it reasonable so everyone could actually beat it, then no one would be buying their season passes every month, which, I mean, I'd much rather have them make me pay every month the full amount and just, make it like fun, like a reasonable amount of time. Like, okay, 5 hours a week instead of 20 would be a huge difference for me.
Yeah, I think that's why Fortnite regrets even having the co-op campaign, because I was getting V-Bucks from the co-op campaign and using it to buy the Battle Pass on the Battle Royale. I never spent a dime of real money playing that game. And, Fortnite Battle Royale...
I think about the actual...
With V-Bucks.
Okay, got it.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, well, yeah, I had the
we
disc,
initially
but
both
that was when
started-
it was just co-op.
Right.
That was before Battle Royale happened.
Right.
And,
right.
For what it's worth, like, I know it exploded into something that I really didn't like anymore, but I enjoyed the Fortnite Battle Royale when it first came out just because it was a new experience. It was a new multiplayer experience, and I love multiplayer games, but once they added I think the moment they added jetpacks into that game, I'm like, oh, the building was already too much for me, let alone...
Yeah, I could never get into that
adding
game.
jetpacks.
I played the Save the World, the free one, before the Battle Royale was even out.
So repetitive.
Yeah, it was repetitive, but then whenever I see videos of like, I'll watch Ninja for 5 minutes to be like, I have to understand why people enjoy this game. And it's just like him building a giant building and like just, breaking off a piece of the building and sniping a bunch of people. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a lot of fun.
That's number one thing I hated about that game was the
that's
building.
Just me. Everyone else seems to love it, but
I can't stand the
That's
building.
why I loved Apex. It was what PUBG wanted to be and what Fortnite couldn't be.
Yeah, kill dudes.
I mean, I also think it'd be... Now, if you could take it... This is kind of a thing I just thought of. The thing I hated about Fortnite was that immediate building. Like, you built in 3 seconds. If you shot at someone and you did, like, 50 health, they would build a structure taller than the Empire State Building in 3 seconds. And it's like, this is stupid. And then on top of that, you got the friggin' circle coming in right behind you. So it's like, great, I'm gonna have to blitz him and I'm gonna die. This is really dumb. Now, if you could do maybe kind of going again towards what Andy was saying, where you have respawns and stuff like that, but basically like almost like storming a castle. So you get a team of like 50 versus 50, and you work together and you build a castle, and I don't know, maybe get like catapults and stuff like that you can take on. But basically it's one builds a castle, the other sieges the castle, and you have X amount of lives. So it kind of takes the, I know Battlefield did it, where you had like tickets, and you had like 50 tickets to push to point A. If you got to point A within the 50 tickets, you go to the next one. Point B, you got 50 tickets again.
Yeah.
Go. So it kind of does that, and it also builds the, kind of Minecraft-y part of that game, and Fortnite part of it, as well as the, respawning and not, like, kicking people out. I spawned and died 3 seconds. Like, I got frustrated with Battle Royale in general.
Yeah.
My other last thing would be, how cool would it be to have, like, a not really Battle Royale, but more like a Tetris 99 of Mario Party.
Where you have 100 people
In the same minigame?
In the same, like, well, not necessarily, so you can be...
or on the same board.
Not necessarily on the same board, but you could all be playing, like, well, actually, that'd be tough, because then you get, like, 3 people that are just really good and go on forever. All right, so maybe you get a giant board of whatever, and, yeah, you get a bunch of, people, hammers or something.
I think what you need to do is take PUBG, Fortnite, Apex, and Tetris 99 and combine them all into one game.
I'm just confused.
Be shooting the
beyond belief
Fortnite
now.
guys. Oh, they're building something. Oh, they're building something with the Tetris blocks. Oh my god!
That actually
Shoot those Tetris blocks.
That would be pretty cool.
I don't know. I think we've went off the rails a little here.
There's like 70 icons of like people reviving people, like ships coming in from like Apex.
Well, it is funny that all of the Battle Royale has made me miss the simplicity that
Of
was
Halo.
like Halo 3
Yeah.
or not even like Call of Duties, specifically the Halos, because the Halos were always the 4-on-4 squad battles that I really liked.
This is why you should maybe look into a cheap Xbox One.
This is probably why I'm going to be looking into the next Xbox iteration.
Well,
that will be backwards compatible with all the Xbox One games, most likely. So
You get an
Well,
all-digital
let's hope.
version
Let's question.
out now.
what's that?
You get an all-digital Xbox.
I mean, Xbox said
Yes. Could be yours.
that's
That sounds
literally
happy.
useless. That I can get a cheaper Xbox One S
There was a
instead of
funny-
that for.
there was
But hear
actually
me out. This one has no disk drive.
Sign me up.
Yep.
Shut up and take my money.
Yep. Could be yours.
No, but it, it looks like until Fortnite stops making money, Battle Royale is here to stay.
Yeah. I was kind of resistant to it for a while because of like Fortnite and stuff. I was like, this is so lame. It's just a bunch of little kids playing these shooter
But you don't
games.
even like multiplayer games in general.
I don't really like
yeah, I
shooter
remember
games
that.
much,
I remember that's
especially
what Andy
multiplayer
kept telling me.
games,
Like,
but
oh
I
yeah, Matt doesn't play multiplayer.
I don't know. There's something like addictive about just like playing them and like, oh, I got to get all my loot. And
I also said he wouldn't be interested in doing a podcast either. And then
I'm
5
here.
episodes in.
I said
we're
yes.
here.
Well, I remember asking him. I was like, "Hey, do you think Matt would be interested because he plays so much?" And he's like, "I don't know about that." And I was like, "Okay."
I think my specific quote was, I don't think Matt likes to do things creative.
Ouch. No, I actually,
Wow.
I've been trying to do a podcast for a while. I had asked another friend of mine if he wanted to start one, but I couldn't really figure out who would want to do it with me that actually had like knowledge of video games and that wanted to do it. So that was kind of the hardest part.
Yeah.
And here we are.
And here we are.
I have knowledge.
And there's
Ouch! Wow, that got really silent really quickly.
I'll make sure to add in the cricket noise on the post-production.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Love
Thanks,
you.
guys. I don't think you do.
All right. With that, boys, where can people find you?
You can find me on the Twitter and the Twitch on Matt Talks Games.
And myself, Dan, you can find me at on Twitter at Game Review Guy.
And you can find me at Hiley and Andy on Twitter. And also you can check out the Mana Bar podcast on all of the popular podcast subscription sites. iTunes.
What sites are those, Andy?
Listen to it on all
iTunes,
of them.
Stitcher, Spotify. You can
Collect
also
them all.
find us on YouTube,
What about MySpace?
MySpace, GeoCities, AOL, keyword Manabar.
Okay.
Those are the worst ones to tell people about because they don't exist.
Also, you can find us at Manabar Podcast on Twitter. And you can also email us at manabarpodcast@gmail.com.
Ask us questions.
And with that, this is the Trophy Hunter, the Collector, and the Bargain Bin Gamer logging off.
Bye, everyone.
Toodles.